and I don't think it's any coincidence that we touched on the history of Islam this past Sunday. Why Islam in specific? Well, it just fell into that's we usually do it around 7 or 8 of the around 2 months. But I don't think it's I think it's ironic that it happened right after we had a guest on about a couple of weeks ago. All right. And I think it was her name. I'm still trying to get her name together here. It was a close relative. I think the daughter of Farrakhan. Nahashta Lone Wolf. And we had her on, and of course, like most of our interviews, eventually when we start answering what I would call not difficult, but accountable questions, and when we are accountable for an answer, if we are looking to be in a position to lead our people, it seems as if when we
Dragon Ball Legend! What do you say? Let's give it a shot. If it's fun, I'm sold.
When we ask questions that lead to real solution, it's usually some level of pushback or friction. This is the reason why I'm putting this out there, because after that, at the end of her interview, she said, well, she's not really historically literate when it comes to the doctrine and history of Islam, being the daughter or granddaughter, well, still a daughter of Farrakhan, being a close relative. You would think that she would understand that history, but all in all, she was honest in pointing out the fact that wasn't her forte, that wasn't her area of expertise. She's just someone that's looking to be active, be like an activist, and do what she can with her popularity to help the people as she sees fit, as she think help is where she think help is needed. But all in all, she said that she would get more so an expert to come on to answer some of these more accountable questions. And we 3 weeks. At one time, he called the producer Azariah and said that he has a family matter, and I'm speaking of Wesley Muhammad, who would come on upon her request to answer some of these accountable questions. I'm going to show you, brothers and sisters, why these questions we were going to point out are important, and it should be at the forefront of any conversation when it comes to leading the people or directing our people out of their condition or our condition. His name was Wesley Muhammad. He called out the first week, and then the second week we were hoping that he would come on, and we waited again, and he called out again, and I found out, 5 minutes, brothers and sisters, before the show, we found out that he was kind of disappointed the way the interview with Nahash the Lone Wolf went, and therefore he gracefully bowed out of the conversation. Not that I blame him. He wouldn't be the first. And it's not that we have, that we're some great debate, some infamy over the cases, to show that we know more than others. That's not the case at all. This is not. If we are in a position to lead our people, we should have the history of how Israel or the black people thought was our fall. Instead of just pinpointing the obvious and pointing out the obvious, such as we're in slavery, we were whipped, we were beat, we treated like second-class citizens. The whole world is against us because we're black. Use these as hot button points just to put a Band-Aid on scenarios that come up ever so often instead of long-term solutions. And I think brothers and sisters, and that's why brothers and sisters don't care no more. And, of course, we're going to get your opinion out there. But brothers and sisters are finding not to care because they don't see no hope. They don't see no real solution. They see the same things over and over again. Injustice done. Some activists get together 9 times out of 10. It's some nonprofit group that's financed so that they can actually come out and show some level of solidarity or fight against the power. And once the people all come together and rant and tear down half of their area, they go back to their homes and nothing changes. And I think the majority of brothers and sisters are getting tired of that. So what? You can come out and point to what we can all see. But what's the bottom line? How do we get in this condition? How did we get here? And it seems no one wants to really address that, because why? If we really can address the issue of how we got here, how we felt as a people, eventually we can come up with a long-term solution. Well, we can take the past as what we would call we can use it as a platform. We can look back and say, you know what, let's use this as our blueprint of what not to do going forward. This is why the other nations and the other people have progressed above us. We all know that we were great and we were always we were powerful at one point. We were kings. I hear all this stuff. Kings and queens fall to the base of to be the base of people on the earth. No one can ever get. So what I do is when we bring these guests, we bring up these issues and we call their leadership to task and say, okay, if you're going to lead our people, that's fine. If you're going to bring forth some, but what are you going to say that haven't been done already? Or are you going to just set up a new nonprofit and have a new niche that, that's a Band-Aid so that you can, it's as if, and I was speaking to you about this, Shapat, the other day, how it seems to some degree like some people look at our condition, they'll be amongst the people and look at our condition, right? And then they'll see what haven't been picketed on yet, or what haven't rallied around to get some nonprofit money from the government for, so that they can say, okay, well, we see this LBGT group amongst the black community, you understand, and the injustice that's being done for them. So let me set up because the finances are dictating what you should be talking about, and why you to take these grants to actually magnify the racial tension they're trying to promote that leads to what? Them jackbooting us more. They would rather finance friction instead of solution. You'll never see them, I'm speaking of the government, financing solutions. So that's why. And and guess what? They're not the only ones going to call out when it comes time to come on the show, when they start to hear. Okay? The bottom line is this. Let me talk about it real quick. This is where we were going with this conversation. And you know what? I didn't want, brothers and sisters, this is what I didn't want. All right. I didn't want it to be a situation where today, where because he called out, or the Nation of Islam called out of this conversation, I didn't want it to be a thing where what we prepared go unheard. So we're going to talk about it. All right. Now I know some people might ask, well, we see the nation. Well, we're going to talk to you about that. We're going to talk about what the Hebrews, what the Israelites are doing. And I can't speak for every Israelite, but I'm going to tell you what, through the Spirit of the Most High, we are doing. Okay? Now, my discussion with the Nation of Islam, we're going to go in a lot of different areas today. Okay? The first thing I wanted to talk about, and you can jump in anytime you would like, Shapat. The mic is in the middle. You see something, you hear something that you feel you can say, right now Gaja is where he is. I know we can pull in, we're going to pull in Gabar, Elder Gabar from New York. We're going to talk to him. Mm-hmm. And once Gaja get his mic together, we're going to try to get him in here because I know he's probably seething trying to get that together because I know he have a lot to say on this. But let me jump right into it. Just speaking expressly on the Nation of Islam, what we know. All right, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to go into why have the mission of the original Nation of Islam changed from when it began to what it is now. Are we in a better case as a people? Are we in a better situation as a people since the Civil Rights Movement and the rise of what you would call the religious wings that came out of the Civil Rights Movement? Are we better off since the Nation of Islam, the nation of Islam, right? Mm-hmm. Began as a people? Are we better since the Christian leaders that were under Martin Luther King sold us to the Democratic Party, which we know the Democratic Party is really the party that was fighting to continue slavery. They just operate in stealth now. Really, they're behind the demise within our communities. They're behind the abortion, all that. They're really trying to destroy us internally as Democrats, but knowing that we as a people really are not history literate and really don't know the history of the Democrats, right? So are we better off since we've sold into the political system? Are we better off since the Nation of Islam became what we would call a political force within our neighborhoods? What have they accomplished since the 60s and 70s that we can point to as a positive for our people? I was going to ask that question, and maybe some people out there can answer that. You know where our stance is, where we stand. First of all, we stand as the children of God. According to the Bible, we know that the children of slaves were prophesied out of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, to go into cargo slave ships. We know how we got in this condition as a people. It was due to the sins of our forefathers living, and now we're living a generational curse. We understand this. Okay? But, okay, guys, I hear you. Come on back in a minute. Now, so, and I'm pointing this out because I can now go to the past, look in the Bible, look in the Old Testament, see the laws from nothing, and recognize the God raised us, that parted the Red Sea, that healed us, that fed us manna, that delivered us into the land of Canaan, later called Israel. And with that, a people of righteousness, a people of law, statutes, judgment, people of that because of the law, right? We were accountable. believe that's the Bible. So now I wake up here in so-called 2015, and I wonder how to get in this condition. Now I have something to draw from. I can go into the Bible and say, okay, we started following the ways of the Gentiles, right? We started not caring about the laws of the Most High. We stopped caring for each other. We began to break the commandments. We began to sin against the law of God. We began to deal with homosexuality and all the Most High said don't deal with killing and coveting. And because of that, and then we began to put other gods over the God who delivered out of Egypt. We began to act no different than the heathen. Therefore, a matter of fact, let me read it. Do me a favor real quick. Go Deuteronomy 32:21 for me real quick. And I'm going to show you why we're going here. Deuteronomy 32:21. This is why we're going here, and I'm going to show you. And how what we're bringing out in the Bible relates to this conversation, what we're talking about tonight. See, and when we bring these things up, this is what causes the friction. Some people say, well, religion causes the friction. No, it's not religion. Okay? It's just that our people, and it's a shame, our people, when it comes to the scriptures, don't want to be accountable. It's not an argument. There's things in the Bible we can all agree with. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. It doesn't matter whether or not you're Muslim, Christian. It doesn't matter if you are whatever you believe. We can read this and all agree with this. So let's not make it a religious thing because someone is Islam and or someone may be dealing with Christianity, whatever. I believe that all of our people, if we read this for what it says in its proper context, we can relate to it. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. Read it. Deuteronomy 32 and read the 21st verse.
Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 21.
Yes.
They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God.
It says the children of God, the children of Israel, move the Most High God to jealousy with that which is not God. So that means God's people, the Bible, began to follow other religions, other way of lives, other way of living outside of the commands of the God of Israel. It's that simple. Now, at this time, all the nations had a way of living or religion over their respective countries. But what made us different, we received the laws from on high, from heaven. We weren't heathens.
Back it up, sir.
Yes, read it.
Verse 17.
Come on.
They sacrificed unto devils, not to the Most High.
We began to sacrifice unto devils, similar to what you see today at the Bohemian Grove, where the other nations sacrifice little children to Moloch for power. Why? Because they're being controlled. They're being ran by demonic forces and fallen angelic forces. And these forces are behind all of the religions in the earth. The Most High made sure that we wouldn't be under the Anunnaki of the Egyptians, which are fallen spirits. He moved us from that. If he wanted us to be like them, he would have kept us in Egypt. Right? We would have stayed in Egypt if he wanted us to continue, because the Egyptians worshiped many gods. No sooner as we got our own, we began to fall backward and fall back in the same muck. We desired it. Read.
To gods whom they knew not, to new gods that came newly up.
And then we started worshiping new gods, just like new religions. And I'm going to go into it and show you how it relates to our conversation.
Feared not. Of rock that begat thee, thou art unmindful.
We're unmindful of the rock that begot us. And I think that's one of the greatest ills amongst our people. We all as a people can relate to what we're going through by the hands of the white man and what the Western world have done to us in captivity and slave ships. We can all relate to that. But one thing that we don't relate is that we were all at one time under one God. We knew who he was. We understood it. And through that came a behavior. It came a civility on how we must treat each other. But we forgot the rock that made us. See? Now we're being divided. Now, because of captivity, the other nations can come in and use us. Because we've been divided and enslaved, now an Arab can come and say, well, let me show you Allah. Let me show you Islam. It's the way. Why? Because they know you lost your way. But they'll never give you the solution. They'll never tell you why you fell. Why? Because automatically it minimizes their power. If they realize who you are, if they teach you who you are, now what must they do? They must now come under the power of your God. But they do the reverse. Stay where you are. But they do the reverse. What they do, actual reverse. They play on our ignorance and say, well, I can show you Islam as the way since you're lost. They'll never tell us we're the people of the book. Right? They'll keep us lost. Or you have a Christian come, a Christian Gentile come, won't even teach you the Bible. They'll tell you somebody entirely different. Or you must be Ham or somebody. You the cursed people. Why? Because when you realize who we are, and when we realize this, we come back to our God, and the Most High begin to destroy the power of the Gentiles who have enslaved us and indoctrinated us. See? Now we can point to the culprits that's behind our demise. See? We shouldn't follow all these different religions and gods. That's how we fell. So first of all, I don't care how prominent a religion might be today. If we realize we're the children of God, now we have to put all, whether it be Christianity, we have to put it all on the table and say, okay, what matches here? Let's look at the law, statutes, and let's see what religions out there are actually following the laws. See, this is how we can now determine whether or not a religion is correct or incorrect. Like, for instance, if a religion tells me that I must make Hajj and go someplace where a rock is, behind a curtain, and claiming that it was part of Abraham's house, so I'm going to bow and kiss it. Right? I know that in the book of Exodus, the 20th chapter, the Most High give us a command. And the command is we're not to bow ourselves to any god, wood or stone, anything that's made on the earth or hewn on the earth or whatever the case is, we're not to bow ourselves. So automatically, I don't care how loving or compassionate a religion might sound. That's how they tricked us the first time, right? If I see some people over there in the Middle East beating their head on the ground, dealing with a rock, I know that that's not religion or the way of life given through my God, according to the Bible. See? It's simple. Like, for instance, I don't care what Christian claim that they're following Christ or they're following the Bible. If we go into the Bible in Leviticus, the 11th chapter, right? And it tells us in Leviticus, the 11th chapter, that we're not to eat swine. They tell us that they're not under the law, so they can eat anything they want. You tell me you can break that law, then what's to stop homosexuals from standing up in your churches saying that I noticed because I read the Bible, these homosexuals be talking about this, and I read the Bible. We breaking all the laws. How can you now judge me being a homosexual up in the air, dealing with all these men and turning them into little girls? How can you judge me now? See, that's how they operate. Because you okay to break the Most High's law. Now all the churches have become lawless. So I can look at the Bible, separate the Bible from what I see in these religious institutions. Now I'm looking at the Bible as a blueprint from whence we fell according to God's law. And if all of our people come back together under these laws, we're together. It doesn't matter whether or not it's a Christian, Muslim, whatever the case is, no matter what you call yourself. You come back under the law, that's the first step into getting us out of this. Because now, that same God that led us out of Egypt gives us direction out of the captivity He put us in by scattering us throughout the four corners of the earth. Of course, He would give us a direction. But let me veer back to my point. Let's go. Let's go 32 and 21. So we forgot the rock that begot us. We forgot the God that raised and gave a promise to our father Abraham. Our own worth. And we began to give our God's glory to the Gentiles' gods, who are really fallen angels. Right? Go on.
21.
21 now.
They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not the Most High.
Come on.
They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people.
So the Most High God, Ahia, the God of the Hebrews, said what? Since you move me to jealous with a God which is no God, I'm going to move you to jealousy with people that are not my people. Israel. See, these people God is speaking to, the Most High God is speaking to, are the children of Israel. And we can all relate to all the prophecies in it. Captivity, us being made merchandise of, us being the low of the earth, being scattered, being destroyed, pestilence and diseases cleaving to us, cleaving on us. This can all be read in Deuteronomy 28. We're the people. So the Most High said, you're going to put up a no God for me? Okay, I'm going to put up a no people for you. So now, that's the blueprint in which we can all come together no matter what we claim we believe and say, okay, let's make sure we're all following this God and not the God of the Arabs, not the God of the Romans, because they're Esau and Ishmael. They are behind our demise. It's in benefit to have us chasing our tail and never realize who we are. It's in the benefit to take us out of the Bible and try to make it the Bible is not literal. To try to make it where we can interpret the Bible any way we want. Because they don't want you to see this literally. Because these are literal laws that will bring us out of our condition. See, and that's the discussion that I was going to have this evening. Let's say, okay, how do we know Islam is the way? Right? Now, we know that I got some history here. And I wanted to talk about this. The history I have here is the fact that we all, especially nowadays, online or what have you, you hear it over and over again. The white man is the devil. The white man did this. The white man enslaved us. They've always did bad things to us, and they have circumvented us, right? And I'm not going to say that what people are saying in these accounts aren't true. The Bible said that the nations would do this to us. Read Deuteronomy 28. Not just the white man. And see, and that's the point. We're only looking at the white man and not realizing that well before the white man did this to us, the Arab man did this to us. See? We broke it down in the academy this Sunday. Ishmael don't have no promise in the Bible. Ishmael is the father of the Arabs. So how, if they're not the people of the promise, how can they be the imams and have the authority to give our people religion? And I'm going to tell you what happened. And guess what? They seen the need, going back to the civil rights movement of the 60s and 70s. My mother and father was in it. And I'm going to tell you right now, they seen, I'm speaking of the powers that be, seen an opportunity to divide us even further, knowing that we were trying. They just wanted to see what side of the game they would finance. They wanted to divide us. Keep in mind, the core piece of destruction when it came towards our people in the civil rights movement, the core piece was and I believe their initiative was to eventually get us out of the Bible and get us more so in the democratic system and not believe in the Most High and call on our God to get us out of this condition. They turned it from a religious movement in which it started into more so a political movement, into the same new world that was destroying us, same apparatus that was destroying us. Wanted to pay a few key people to keep us still while they destroy us and separate our families and totally demoralize us and just rip us apart. So when I look at going back to when the Nation of Islam became a power in the 60s and 70s and gained some, especially in the 60s, gained some serious momentum. To us, it seems as if this was a group that was standing for something besides us turning the other cheek. But really, it was something else. It was a lie, because the majority of the people they were aiming this movement to, or this newfound way of Islam to, were children of slaves who were, before this, predominantly all Christian. So the majority of the children of slaves learned out of the Bible. They grew up in captivity, in slavery, learning from the Bible and going to church. Not that it's all the way correct, but at least they believed in Christ and at least they had the Bible. This was a systematic trick to get now another religion, another people's religion that was behind our demise even before the white man in America, to now come in and to divide that Christian core. Divide that. Stop those that once believed in the Bible and then bring in another prophet outside of Christ. Dividing the same people that's looking for justice. And injustice was happening in turn. We didn't see it. The only enemy we seen was the white man. We didn't see the enemy within that was dividing us and was moving us out of the Bible into the political system. And it was our core belief in the Bible that started the whole movement, brothers and sisters, that really gained the power and world notoriety. Everyone else was just jumping on board. I'm going to tell you, I don't agree with everything Martin Luther King did. And I'll tell you, even Martin Luther King made statements before his untimely death that he was afraid that he actually made an agreement to keep us in a burning house. I don't agree with everything, but I know that his core principles of nonviolence came directly from Matthew, the 5th chapter. It came from Christ. That movement alone gained the notoriety of the world. I know a lot of people want to talk about Gandhi. Nobody care about that Gandhi garbage. Let me tell you, Christ's principles was applied that gave our people a platform throughout the world. They needed to divide that. Hence, these other organizations coming through, gaining power, gaining notoriety. That was a key point in history. We can go either way at that time. And we chose the political arena opposed to standing with the Most High. And I'm going to tell you, the governments of this earth was prepared to incarcerate us and put us in camps in the 60s. That would have been the last resort if they could not have divided us through first the religious and the key point was selling all these people into the political system. If they couldn't do it that way and socialize us, their only recourse would have been what they call the King Alfred's plan. The King Alfred's plan, which was turned to Rex 84, was actually processed and began to lock all black people up in the 60s. They already had the camps ready in the 60s. But that was the last recourse. They would rather pacify us and have us build their one world order and destroy us systematically while we're helping them build a construct into the heavens. That was their, that was the ultimate plan. You know what? They had a fallback plan. We didn't. If we began to stand as one and realize that our common enemy is spiritual and the whole one world order is under a satanic apparatus and a religion. If we would have all stayed in that Bible and say, well, hold up. Let's not go to any man, whether it be the white man, the Arab man, or any other man, to right the wrong that's been done to us. Let's not go to them. Let's go into this Bible and see where we fail. Because there's a similarity. It's a similar story I'm seeing here with our people who were enslaved in America and those that were enslaved in Egypt. There's some similarities here. So even if we don't believe we're the people, let's just take it from that angle and just look at with the similar circumstances, and let's see the mistakes of the Israelites that were under the Egyptians. What laws they began to break once they had their freedom and had all power and were kings and queens. What errors did they make? Why don't we follow those same laws and see the benefit of them? Because what government would disagree with it? What government would disagree with it? You're not stealing from each other. You're not stealing from them. You're not killing each other. You're not killing them. Right? You're not committing adultery. You're not fornicating. You're not stealing. You're not doing. You're following. You're being holy. So that can only be a contribution to the society you're growing within. Right? That can only make you what? An asset. But they probably would have came after us anyway, because if we were to follow the Bible, what happens? Brothers and sisters, we gain power. We gain power. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to go into it. I went into it more in depth a couple of days ago. But I'm going to tell you, brothers and sisters, the Nation of Islam, and this don't have nothing to do with Farrakhan personally. The Nation of Islam started before Farrakhan. And I don't think they understand I would say the damage that came from that particular movement within our community. And I'm going to be straight with it. And some people might ask, well, what am I talking about? Think about it. The people that they were initiating